Okay, good morning, family. Once again, we are back this morning and we are glad to be back and to have you online as we normally do what we do. Today, Brother Nkimba is not in because he have some family issue that he need to take care of, once in a while, even though we do these things, but you also had to tend to the family as well because it's a family effort. So hopefully he's going to be with us next Saturday, but he's not with us today. But he should be watching us. So today we have Tiani and myself. So I'm going ahead to introduce myself while she's getting ready to come. Okay, she's already here. So Tiani, you want to introduce yourself first before I can come in?
Loud crying going on. But hey, everyone. Tierney.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Frank Mauba, as you all know, chair for the Political Action Committee. So today, I am taking the lead in place of Brother Nkimba. He's not in today again. I repeat myself, but he's going to be with us next week, so he misses you all. So we're going to start as usual on how we start with what is happening in the news, and then before we get to our reading by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Class Struggle. So Tiani, all right, so I can go ahead and be talking while she's getting ready.
I can start. It's okay.
Okay, all right, okay.
Never mind, you start.
All right. I think he want to be part of the discussion today, so I think he want to read. So
all right, I'm sorry. Yes, so we're going to talk about Thomas Sankara, everyone. If you don't know, Blaise Compaoré, he's the previous president of Burkina Faso. He was recently ousted out of power a couple years ago. And it was revealed that Burkina Faso was going to be taking charges against Blaise Compaoré, their former president, for the assassination of Thomas Sankara. If you don't know, Thomas Sankara is, you should really research him. My son is on one today, as you can see. But you should really research him because as of recent times, he's one of the Pan-Africanist leaders who really did stand up to the West. And I would say was completely devoted to the people. We know there's some people who are, good intention, but they won't go the extra mile for African people. I would say Thomas Sankara went all the way for our people. He was a threat to the Europeans, a threat to the American presence inside of Africa, which is why he was assassinated. And the way that they got to him was by someone who was really close to him. His Blaise Compaoré was someone who was in his government, who worked very closely with him. And the French essentially told him, hey, get Thomas Sankara out of power, and we're going to help you so that you can be president of Burkina Faso, which he was for decades. So now he's going to be held accountable, supposedly, for assassinating one of his best friends. So I think this brings a lot out for us to discuss. One thing is the issue of African people. Whenever we do have revolutions, we have the imperialists trying to thwart our efforts. And then the other thing being, I think it's interesting that they're taking charges against Blaise Compaoré, but France was the one that ordered the assassination. So obviously we want Blaise Compaoré to be held accountable, but we also want French officials who ordered that assassination to be held accountable too. So those are some thoughts I had.
Yeah, adding to that, it's kind of very funny as well. And the reason why these European nations we keep coming out and then to charge African president or African leaders who were in a position of power to assassinate other African leaders or to cause care on a continent. And the reason why these Western leaders will come out to want to put charges against African leaders is because Western influence or Western power are not being held reliable of the crime they commit, of how they participate directly or indirectly. And we just saw recently when France came out to confess or to take a blame of the genocide that was committed in Rwanda. And in that, no action was taken against France or no African leaders in a whole or AU did not take any action against France, in a sense that she agreed, she admitted to it of her involvement in that. If she was not going to involve herself in it, that genocide in Rwanda would not have happened. And there was no charge brought against France. So this is just to say that these Western leaders, as long as these things are going on and no charges coming against them, they will keep doing it because they know at the end of the day, African leaders, African people will do nothing to hold them accountable. And then this is how they are going to continue, directly or indirectly, causing chaos on the African continent. And now, you as an African leaders, or that you are influenced to do it, the moment you become no longer useful to your ally that are called the Western, to your ally or to your capitalists, the moment you become no longer useful, that's the time they're going to come against you to take you to the hedge or to put charges against you and all of those things. So it's a lesson, and most of our leaders are not paying attention. They are not learning because of power greed. They want to be in power at that point of time, at that particular point of time. Knowingly, they're going to come after them the moment you become no longer useful. But again, we are not just basing the issue, like you said, on Blake Compaoré being here reliable for the assassination of Thomas Sankara. We need all Western leaders, particularly France, to take her part of the bargaining and be here reliable and be charged faced on a crime that she committed as well. So we are not just looking at Blake Compaoré. So now again, it left with us, the revolutionary youth that are coming up to put pressure on AU, because if we don't do it, they are not going to do nothing, to put pressure on them as well. And I says to the Burkinabés, you have to be in a courtroom. All advocates in Burkina Faso, you have to be in a courtroom and make sure and take charge that France be here reliable also for the crime she committed. The issue here is not just to see Blake Compaoré in prison or be in prison in Western society, but also France should be here reliable for the crime committed in Burkina Faso.
I agree, and also I think it's you hit the nail on the head. I think whenever we're talking about holding the colonists responsible, that's when you know we're having a different conversation, and that's where you know that what's coming out is actually something that's actually meaningful. Because I question the timing, to be honest, of why the Burkina Faso officials are doing this. And also, like you said, I mean, it was not just Blake Compaoré just got up one day and said, I want to take out Thomas Sankara. Someone ordered the assassination, and anytime that you have a bribe or murder for hire, you don't just take the person that actually did the murder. You take out the person, or you charge the person who ordered the murder. Everyone is equally implicated. So I would take it a lot more serious, but I know that we're not ready to have that conversation right now because Burkina Faso is like almost all African countries is still colonized and still inside of a state of being beholden to French influence. So it's good to see the conversation starting, but let's take the conversation further. I really want to see us hold people truly accountable for what happened to Thomas Sankara. And I also want to add that the reason why we know that France was right in line with this is because the timing, not only do we know French officials were involved, but this happened months after Thomas Sankara went to the African Union, and he was trying to get other African leaders to join him and no longer doing a colonial, paying their colonial debts. And so if the whole African bloc would have said, okay, we're not going to pay our debts to the colonists, that would have obviously drastically changed how things are going, and they couldn't have that threat, so that's why they took him out.
And to add to that, as well as we want to bring to our brothers and sisters in Burkina Faso and around around the African globe, where African nations are, and not only on the African continent but around the African globe, we want to bring to your attention as well, whenever there's an assassination, And it is not a mass assassination. For example, you don't see the masses of the people. That's what I'm trying to focus on. You don't see the masses of the people behind that assassination. But you see few handful of people, one or two. Always know that there is a Western influence behind it. And that was one of the cases with Thomas Sankara. For the kind of level of leadership Thomas Sankara displaced in Burkina Faso, and also on the African continent, and for the African diaspora and as well. So for African people to unite, that tells you that it was never in any way possible for African people to go against, or for the masses to go against Thomas Sankara, to assassinate him. They assassinated him because of the policies that he was coming with, and it was against the imperialist policies, especially France. And that's how France manipulated Thomas Sankara, own right-hand man, and they got him assassinated. So that is why we want for France to be here accountable and brought to justice. We're not waiting for UN, because if we wait for UN to come and do it, trust me, it will never happen.
And then we need our people, who I am going to assume we're all in organizations, because otherwise, we're not struggling for our people if we're not in an organization. We need to study, people, like things like what happened with Thomas Sankara, because I hear a lot of people that say, oh, we just need, good leaders, or we just need to get rid of the, African leaders. You had an African leader. He was completely devoted to the cause of our liberation. He's no longer here. So we have to study, when you look at Thomas Sankara, when you look at Nkrumah, when you look at so many people, Steve Biko, so many people who were taken out, who were actually those leaders that we say that that's all we need. What happened there, and how are we going to prevent that from happening in the future? And that requires scientific analysis of our revolutions, and not just a surface level looking at, oh, well, we just need to fix this problem. No. What happened that we are going to make sure the next time we have a Thomas Sankara or a Maurice Bishop, the next time we have a Winnie Mandela, that we are actually able to adequately protect them?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this topic. That was a great topic. And by the way, we're still going to follow the case. So we're going to follow the case to see how the case, will be unfolded as well. And we also going to make sure we get to our brothers and sisters in our part of the world, Burkina Faso, to let them do the right thing. So it's not just about Blake Compaoré, but it's mainly about France, because if not their influence, I believe Thomas Sankara could have been alive today. So we're going to get on the next topic. The next topic here in the news is from Nigeria. The nation we say it is the superpower for West Africa or for Africa. But there is still question as to whether it is the superpower, because if you are not performing your duty, I think we got to take that role from you and give it to somebody else who is performing the duty. So we're not going to give you a title that you are not performing to it. So,
or at least we have to question what does superpower mean, because it can't mean that you're black power. If that's what it is.
Black power, thank you. Yeah, black power. So you have to be there for black people, for African people. You got to make sure African people, be self-determined and have control of their own destiny and make decisions as to how things need to be done according to their perspective and their way of life as well. All right. So recently, one of the state governor of Nigeria came out, or he visited to one of the area that a kidnap have taken place, or that took place, and he visited the area, and he began to blame the citizens or in a part of Nigeria, to say that they are the cause of the kidnap, or the kidnapping that is going on. And he began to say that Nigerian people should arm themselves to fight for themselves, the citizen. So that make it clear. The citizen, the ordinary citizen, should go and arm themselves to defend themselves. So, and he was not the first person that made this statement. The National Defense Minister for the entire country, Nigeria, also made this statement months before the governor came out to make this statement. Now, the issue here is making such statement as to the people should come out to defend themselves, to get gun. Where are the people going to get gun from? Are they trained, or were they trained to defend themselves? You have a national army that I train militarily for this job, and you're telling common citizens to go and get arm and ammunition to go and defend themselves. What that means here is you just telling the citizens to go and join those groups, those rebels, those Boko Haram that are being supported by foreign entity or foreign influence. And now, the reason why I'm saying this, sometime around, I think 22 or 2013, the Nigerian army accused a French or non-governmental organization in Nigeria that they were the one supporting Boko Haram medically. They were giving medical supply to Boko Haram. So there's a reason why I'm saying this, because it is a reliable source that foreign entities are supporting these military or rebel groups on the continent. So if he says that you are giving a corridor to citizens to go and join these rebel faction or these groups to come and do more kidnapping, because at the end of the day, where are they going to get a gun from? You, the Nigerian army, will not give them a gun. The only way they're going to get a gun is to go and join the rebel, or to go and join the jihadi, or to go and join the terrorist groups. That's the only way they're going to get a gun. So that statement was not a good statement from the government, to make to the people. That just show the lack of credibility in the security system of Nigeria.
So get some more details. So I'm assuming Nigeria has a problem with Boko Haram, obviously, and other militant groups who have been radicalized from being colonized and deprived of rights and everything. So this is his solution to the insurgency of different militant groups that have been doing these kidnappings, correct? Mm-hmm. So with that, it brings back the same conversation we were talking about with Sankara. You're telling people, first of all, why is it that the only time we tell our people to take arms is against their own people? Like, you never hear them say take arms against the Europeans, the Asians, anything. It's always against our own people. The other thing, though, is that we should keep in mind that the problems that are happening, like Frank said, telling people who are already deprived to just take arms and that's how you're going to solve your problem. You should understand that Boko Haram, a lot of these people who end up joining these groups are people who don't have any type of way to provide for their families. So it's the same thing that we see like in the United States, where you see gangs. And it's not that the people are just, ready to kill and ready to, do harm to their community. A lot of times you have young boys, young girls who don't have a means of providing for themselves. And so they join the Crips or the Bloods or, whatever. Same thing that happens in Africa, but instead we don't call them gangs. We call them militant groups. We call them, some people call them terrorists, we call them something different. But the issues are the same. Never any talk about why it is that such a burgeoning economy like Nigeria, which Frank said is supposed to be like, what is it, the superpower in Africa. Why is it that you have these contradictions of so many poor people who aren't able to actually provide for themselves inside of a country that's supposed to be so rich and that's so oil rich? And that, again, brings up the fact that Nigeria is not in control of itself. Nigeria is basically there for the West to come in and raid because foreigners own your oil, foreigners own the riches in your soil. So that's not the answer when you're talking about trying to bring your brothers and sisters to a point where they're able to live safely. The danger is created from the colonists. And again, we're not having a radical conversation whenever those who are implicated are only the Africans. They're saying, oh, these are people who are doing things in your community. Just go take arms against your brothers and sisters, and many of them, again, who are in position where I really don't believe that most of the people who join these groups are bloodthirsty like they're made to look like they are. But a lot of them are people who are just disengaged with the system because the system has been so volatile to them. So not try to offer them an alternative to the system, not try to help them get out of the situation economically. Instead, no, just, go ahead and kill your brothers and sisters. That's the only solution. So this is no excuse, obviously, the things that are happening in Nigeria and places like that, whether it's Boko Haram, whether it's different groups like Al-Qaeda. People are doing horrible atrocities to African brothers or sisters, but we have to figure out, are we in this for the long haul? Or are we in this for these momentary reactionary solutions that won't do anything to get at the root problem? The root problem is the colonization of Africa that continues to today. When you have foreign companies who are controlling your economic life being, when you have foreign countries who are controlling your politics, who are putting the leaders in power, who are going to make these proclamations over you, that's the root problem. And the root is not going to be solved by further bloodshed. Yes, absolutely, take care and protect your family. I believe in being armed, not just in Nigeria, in the United States. I believe being armed. But don't present that, especially at a government level, is like, that's the first thing you have to do in order to deal with this. No, the first thing you have to do is tell those foreign countries that have so much investments in Africa that those investments have to go to the people and actually create a situation where people are able to care for themselves instead of joining these types of groups.
Let me quickly address a question. I think there was a question that was posted and says, let me just paraphrase it. It says, where they're kidnapping for medical, use, and then he also asks a question that says, let's talk about, why the kidnapping is happening. So, okay, so to address that question, first of all, let's say they address the medical part. So the kidnapping, I don't think I will sit here and tell you the kidnapping are being done due to medical use. No one going to kidnap somebody for a medical purpose or for a medical use. No one going to do that. I don't know where that happened in history where people kidnap you for medical use, unless you actually donate yourself, for medical use or for medical purpose or for research purpose and those things. But nobody, kidnapping and things. So those kidnapping, the kidnapping that is going on within Nigeria, it just have to do with people who feel that they have that how do you call it? They have that guns and they have that power to do anything. And again, it's war. Whenever there is a war, you always notice that the people that will suffer the most are the kids and women. You see it? So that is what's going on. The people that will suffer the most, kids and women, and also young boy, that will be recruited to join that faction or to join that group. And that is why kidnapping, usually take place. So most of the kidnapping that is happening in Nigeria, some of them are being done to recruit young boy, who are capable, of fighting. And then some of the girls also are being kidnapped, for sexual purposes and things. So they want to keep those girls, and keep raping them. So that is why the kidnapping, keep going on and things. So it's not for medical purposes. So the reason why we brought how do you call it, medical in the discussion in the first place, like I said, sometime around 2012 or 2013, there was a news that came out from the Nigerian military, and says that there was a French NGO, I believe, Médecins Sans Frontières, that was supplying Boko Haram with medical supply, with medical aid. You see, so Médecins Sans Frontières was the organization, a non-profit organization in Africa, in Nigeria, taking care of Boko Haram with all the atrocities they are committing. So what that tells you is Boko Haram is being supported not only medically, but ammunition as well. So if you can give medical supply to somebody, that tells you that there are also ammunition, that are being supplied to them. So I don't know if that answers your question. So do you want to add to that, Tiani?
I actually don't know about that subject matter. So I think you hit it.
Yeah. So that's it. So they are not doing it for medical purpose and things. So it's just war. Whenever there's a war, women suffer, kids suffer and things. So that is why the kidnapping, is being going on. So they recruit, boys to be part of the military group, and also girls to keep them, as their wife, as their sex slave, and those things. So that's why the kidnapping, is going on and stuff. All right. So we still got 5 more minutes left, but I think we are going to transition. So okay, behind the scene, Miss Haiti also posted something that they also kidnapped for body parts. So yes, of course. So those things, might be going on as well. So that look at this, that is very, it's true. It could be true because the fact that you have foreign organization, foreign NGO giving medical supply to Boko Haram, that tells you that there is some bargaining going on behind the scene. So most of the kidnapping that they are doing, people are also losing their life. They are also killing people. And as they kill people, they are also taking body parts up, giving it to these non-profit organizations. And these non-profit organizations or NGO bring it into the Western world and sell those parts for a lot of money for profit and those things. So yeah, that could be another reason, the kidnapping, actually going on as well. So yeah, that's something to look at as well.
And I mean, again, I don't know about this subject matter, so I'm not going to speak on. I actually didn't know that they were getting funds from NGOs, so now I have to look more into that.
Yes.
But to drive the point home again, like we have to not look at the effects, but we have to look at the cause. We have to not look at the symptoms of being a colonized people and an occupied people and a people who aren't in control of their destinies. It's been a reality for so long that I think we're so desensitized to the fact that we don't control our life, we don't control our communities, we don't control our countries, we don't control any of it. It's been for so long that it's like second nature to us. But you have to understand that is a natural setup for chaos. Being beholden to someone else telling you, okay, we're going to allow you to have this much, but we're going to take this much. That's a natural cause of chaos inside of communities, inside of land, and then throughout the continent of Africa. So it's important. Yes, we understand these things that come out of being a colonized, and occupied, and a powerless people. But the only way to properly address the situation is for us to reverse course and take and seize power. There's no reason why there's these contradictions in Africa where we're so rich and so well taken care of. No, we could be so well taken care of, but we're just not. So I just want to also drive that point home.
Okay, and before we can transition to the book, let me just ask something up quickly because we may not even get the time again to get back to it. So the reality here is African, we are not going to be protected by outsider. We are not going to be protected by American military or French military or the British military or Germany military or even the Chinese military. We are not going to be protected by them. We have to protect our own self. And in that, we have to build our own army. So this message goes to the African leaders. We have to build our own military. And let this be an example to you and you African leaders. You guys should look at other nations and what is happening around the world. For example, what just happened in Afghanistan. African leaders, don't sit and close your eye and think it's not coming to you people, or think it's not coming to us. It's coming to us. What just happened in Afghanistan? Okay, we have foreign military. We have the U.S., the United States military in Afghanistan, alongside working with the Afghanistan military, fighting the terrorist group or the Taliban groups. Right now, what really happened? That the Taliban group defeated the American military and the Afghanistan military to the extent that the Taliban have taken over. I don't want to go deep into it, but that just shows to you that there was some foul play in there. So just know that there was a hand that was supporting those Taliban, and then the hands I think that was fighting alongside with the Afghanistan military to defeat the Taliban. to the extent that the military, the Afghanistan military did not defeat the Taliban. The American military in Afghanistan did not defeat the Taliban, and the Taliban, took, how they call it, overtake the whole country, and they had the country in their hand to the extent that they had to withdraw their troop back here. So there's some foul play, and as you see the media is playing it in a way that the Taliban overtake the entire country and all of those things. They took the American bases, they went there, they destroyed it, and they took the American ammunition that America had to withdraw their troop. The reality here is that's the same thing they're going to do to Africa. They're going to your country and destabilize your country. That's the new world order. Destabilize the country, and then we will have power over them and over their resources and things. So African leaders, you have to learn. Those foreign military on the continent, they are not there to fight alongside with you. You have to build your own military. That's the only way you will succeed. If you don't have military, you are nobody. No foreign military coming to help you. They did not help the people in Afghanistan. They will not help us in Africa. We have to build our own military.
Well, I don't have time to get into Afghanistan. That's a whole other talk. But the premise, yes, foreign military is never good.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the book reading. So we are actually on chapter 7, page 41. And then the title of that page is a reactionary clique among armed forces and police. Reactionary clique among armed forces.
And I'm sorry, for anyone who doesn't know, we're reading Class Struggle by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and the link will be in the description.
All right, thanks for that, Tiani. Thanks for that teamwork. All right, so I read again, reactionary clique among armed forces and the police. So it reads thus: the majority of African armed forces and police came into existence as part of the colonial cohesive apparatus. Few of their members joined national liberation struggle. For the most part, they were employed to perform police operation against it. In the colonial period, most of the officers were European. At independence, when African nation policies were put into operation, many Africans who were not really qualified to become officers received commission because of the lack of suitable candidates. A large number were men who had held educational position in the army and were drawn from among the educated petty bourgeoisie. These and other older officers are peasants serving in Africa. Armies were trained by colonialists or in military colleges of the West, and are therefore oriented towards Western norms and ideas. They may be said to form, because of their rank, part of the bureaucratic bourgeoisie with a stake in the capitalist path of development. Continue.
I from what I heard, I like the emphasis on the fact that so many of our African people, we have a stake inside of the colonial capitalist system because we have been educated in their ways. And that's what I think will be a big thing as we go on, is that the bourgeoisie, they have basically been emulating the system because of the education system, the indoctrination system that all African people have been brought into. So I think it's a good light that's going to be shown on the fact that we have to understand we have received a colonial education to be a colonial subject, to emulate the colonists, but not in a way that's going to threaten the colonist power, and why so many of those who are considered upper echelon of our people, that those people are protecting the system instead of going against the system.
Yeah, very valid point. And one of the things that I also got from this reading from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is the fact that your enemies will never train you so that you can defeat him. It can never happen. And, your enemy will never train you due to the fact that your enemy knows how he treated you. Your enemy know the kind of, inhumane treatment he gave you before. So how do you expect your enemy to come back to give you a qualified training that you go and defeat him to put him or her in the same position or situation that he got you in? That's what the reading is telling us here.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of, like, so for example, we know like a lot of people who were inside of the Black Power movement in the US, and even like in the decolonization movements, a lot of these people were people who used to be military personnel. And I think that the one thing that creates a problem is when you do become educated by the colonialists and they're expecting one outcome. The outcome being that you continue to serve their will, but some of us become radicalized the other direction and start seeing like the contradictions in the system. Like you see a lot of people, I noticed a lot of veterans or like they were inside of some war or something like that, but today like they become very conscious, like and I think that's the effect that the colonist doesn't want to happen. And that's the threat that's like looming whenever you do arm people and say, hey, go fight this war because these people are your enemies. And then you're going to have like a segment of those people go the opposite way. And so because of that, the ideological war is very much something that the colonists take serious. They have to make sure that we believe in the system, that we believe we're protecting our people, fighting for freedom, fighting for all people, humanity, fighting for these like abstract concepts that they give us. We have to believe that because the second we stop believing that, then we become a threat to them, the ones who gave you the ammunition, taught you how to shoot, taught you, how to engage in warfare. So I think that's very true.
Yeah, and in adding to that, to the solution, Kwame Nkrumah is also telling us that, look, we should stop coming to Europe or to America for military training. Because the issue here is whenever the African soldier, those who want to be soldier, come to Europe, come to America, or come overseas for training, what's going to happen here is they are going to carry Western ideology in a sense that they are actually Western military that are going on a continent to fight against their own people. Instead of them protecting the citizen, they will not protect the citizen because they will be there to protect America's interests, to protect Great Britain interests, or to protect France's interests. Because the training that they took here, that was what they told them to obey. Just obey. What your leader tells you, just obey. You are there to protect the state. So obey your leader. And the leader is in the pocket of the Western world. So once the leader said this, you agree to it, and then it treat your people. So Nkrumah is telling us we can train our own military on a continent. We have warrior on a continent before that fought with primitive tools and primitive weapons, and they defeated the British. They defeated the French, even Toussaint in Haiti. They defeated the British, they defeated the French. So Nkrumah is telling us, we are warrior. We should not depend on foreign people to train us, because when they train us, we are going to go with Western ideology and go against our own people and protect them.
And oh gosh, I feel like we're just taking so much into this particular part, but that's true. Like the just obey part. Like when you look at what the goal of colonial education, it's really to make you mindless. If you look at the masses of our people, like, whenever some of us, we start challenging and we start going on this road of consciousness, but overwhelmingly, the majority of our people are, when it comes to questioning capitalism, when it comes to questioning colonialism, when it comes to questioning European culture, we're just mindless. We go with it. We feel, and when someone says, hey, this white Jesus in your church, you feel okay having that there? Oh, it's like, how dare you? Like, we want to be mindless. We want to just accept what they've given us. When someone says, hey, the fact that you're in an army that's, not protecting people, but it's protecting the colonist interest. Oh, who are you? What are you doing? They depend on us being a mindless people who's just going to obey, like you said.
Yes, great. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. If you have a question, you can drop it below and we will get to it. All right. Let's continue to the next paragraph. Some of the younger officers probably in their school days took part in the liberation struggle and are therefore accessible to socialist revolutionary ideology. But although some of them have become supporters of the African Revolution, the majority of higher officers have succumbed to the same bourgeoisie indoctrination as their older follower officers. They are closely linked socially and in background and expiration, with the bureaucratic bourgeoisie and with the reactionary officers elite in other countries. Continue, right?
Unless you have something to say.
Okay. In many cases, the officers class and the civil servant have shared similar educational experience in elite schools and colleges in Africa and overseas. They have developed similar outlook and interest. They tend to distrust change and to worship the organization and institution of capitalist bourgeoisie society. Even the younger generation of officers and bureaucrats who shared power in many African states as a result of military coup are steeped in attitude and concept which reflect the social political climate of the colonial period. Go ahead.
Someone asked, what book are we referring to? We're reading from the book Class Struggle by Kwame Nkrumah. The link was just posted again in the description.
All right, let me just give a quick explanation to this before we can go. There is something that I got from here, that I want to add up here. So this part of the reading, it also what I also got from this part of the reading is that most of the old folks that were trained by the bureaucracy bourgeoisie are the one who are also leading the younger one. So they are the one who are also educating the younger one. So in other words, he was also talking about neo-colonialism as well in here to carry on the ideology of the colonial idea or mindset to protect the colonial, political and social, agenda or economic agenda on the African continent or in Black nations as well. So let's continue. When neo-colonialist coup take place, members of the armed forces, the police, and the bureaucracy work together. Again, this is not to say that they necessarily sit down together and plot coup, though this has sometimes been the case, but they have common interests and each need the other. Bureaucrats alone cannot overthrow a government, and the military and police have not the experts to administer a country. Therefore, they combine and bring about a state of affair strictly similar to that which operated in colonial time when the colonial government depend on the civil service and the army and police and on the support of the traditional rulers. Is this clear?
Yes, you can keep going, or you can.
All right. In almost every case where a coup has taken place, there has been no mass precipitation, like we just discussed about Thomas Sankara. In almost every case where a coup has been taking place, there has been no mass precipitation. Workers and peasants are betrayed, and conceived, and the clock put back to the condition of colonialism. The power of revolutionary The power of reactionary tradition ruler is reinstated. They heavily relies on the police, and neo-colonialist states is another reminder of the colonial period. Police officers, unlike army officers, are by the very nature of their work in close touch with the people. At the same time, a coup, they are in a position to know exactly which element to arrest and where they should be confined. They know how to organize and to control riot and demonstration. In many cases, police officers have themselves been involved in corruption. They are familiar with all aspects of crime and do not shrink from any method to obtain their end. Like their counterparts in the armed forces, they have close link with the bureaucratics, bourgeoisie, and share common interests. The rank and file of army and police are from the peasantry. A large number are illiterate. They have been taught to obey order without question and have become tools of bourgeoisie, capitalist interest.
Yeah. I think this is a good sort of that's how you know Kwame Nkrumah was so brilliant, is that when this person lived, I think he died, I believe, in the 70s, and his analysis has repeatedly happened over and over again, coup after coup after coup, because it's very true. When you look at how these coups happen, it's only a few people who usually come out, and they're the ones who decide to take out the African puppet leader. And in addition to this, you also have the fact that things go back to normal, even if some people are excited. Even whenever you have like a commonly supported coup, it's like things just revert right back to normal. So the issue is not being addressed by getting rid of the puppet neo-colonialists and not addressing the system, which is why I'm very reluctant nowadays to fully view every single coup as a good thing, even if I don't like the leader. So, for example, a lot of people were calling for Muhammadu Buhari to step down in Nigeria. I hope all of us know that's not a good leader. But if you think about like, what will this person stepping down do to the system? Well, nothing. Then you understand that these movements to get individuals out of power are not movements to change the conditions of the people, but rather to change the face of neo-colonialism. And then in addition, if you think about a country like Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, rather, he is obviously a very disliked U.S. puppet. He's done horrible things, was implicated inside of the Congo when it comes to the horrible atrocities that were done to the people and still are done for their cobalt. If you think about someone like that leader, a lot of people were very excited when they had someone like Bobby Wine come out, because Bobby Wine, who was the leader or the guy who tried to challenge him for the presidency, he showed that he was for the people and all these things. But then we're starting to see Bobby Wine very close with the United States, him going to meetings with U.S. officials, going to meetings with European officials who we know want no part of a free Africa. And then we start seeing him mingle with people like Juan Guaido inside of Venezuela, who is the ultimate U.S. puppet. So, we have to question these coups that put focus on individuals and then allow a condition to happen when things revert back to the previous state. I personally am starting to think that these coups are actually done intentionally to allow the people to think that in every generation they're having a change to their environment, even when the environment is literally the same thing. Literally consistently, the masses are colonized. Nothing has changed inside of that. But if people believe every once in a while that a change is coming, then maybe they'll allow this colonized condition to continue another few generations.
Yeah, let me just make a quick point of Bobby Wine, and also to start with your statement, like you end up with like a change is coming. Yes, let me say this, African people. Change is coming, but our change will only come through the African masses. That change will never come through non-African. Change is coming, yes, but our change, Nkrumah said, it can only come, and it will only come through the African masses and not non-African. Now, let's get to Bobby One. I think Bobby One have already made his case, right, with the European, right? And the only reason why with the capitalists, the only reason why for now, they have not yet get to Bobby One to protect or to work with him, but he's already in their hand, he's already in the making. Their interest in how do you call it? Uganda, right? That's Uganda from Bobby One. Okay.
Yes, Uganda.
Yeah, the capitalist interest in Uganda is not still a threat. That is why they are not using Bobby One. But they know he have gone to them. He already had their interest. But the reality here is in Uganda, the capitalist interest in Uganda is not a threat. Despite Museveni being in power for that long and they want to get him out. So they are not going to work with Bobby One at this time if their interest is not a threat. So that's how the capitalists operate. So the moment you see them supporting Bobby One, and the Ugandan would think that the capitalists or America or Europe or whatsoever, the Western world, it is in their interest to come and get Museveni out. And then they'll support Bobby One, and you see citizens beyond Bobby One, all of those things. No, that won't be the case. The case will just be Museveni is no longer protecting their interests, or either he has recognized his mistake and he wants to now work with you people. And then they will come on Bobby One's side. But at this time, Bobby One is still on his own. Let's continue. That's how the capitalists operate. All right. They are those alienated from the peasant worker, struggle to which, through their class origin, they really belongs. Why to obey others without question is a fundamental requirement of the ordinary soldier in most professional armies. It becomes extremely dangerous when those in a position to give order serve the interest of only a small privileged section of society. Let me explain this a little bit right here. I know we talk about it, but let me emphasize on it a little bit what they say here. We mentioned something earlier when we were discussing about African army coming to Europe or the Western world and be trained, right? And then when you go to Africa, you are not going to protect your people or fight for your people because you are being trained to protect the interests of the Western world in Africa. And being that your leader is already in the pocket of the Western world, they will tell you, the army that is being trained in Europe, they will tell you, you have to obey. A soldier is there to obey the command of the commander-in-chief of the army. And who is in chief of the army? The president. And the president is in the pocket of the European. So they're already right there. They condition you to obey the man in power, the commander-in-chief. So, and your commander-in-chief is also what? Is also in the hands of the Western world. So this is how neo-colonialists operate. And this is why you see African soldier, you see police, not in the interest of the citizen that look like the police or the army. They themselves are suffering. They get from their home, their kids and home that are suffering, that go hungry. In fact, some of them they work at the end of the day and go home, no food. So they will now work with the masses because they are being taught to obey. And that is what in their head, obey.
Yes. And I also say that I think this also brings to us the reason why with the psychological agenda inside of colonialism, they really have to like assault I think the self-worth of Africans, because any liberated person, any person of conscious, any person of self-love is not just going to obey because someone tells them to do something. So they really have to rob us of our belief, first of all, that we can think on our own, that we can make decisions for ourselves, that we can know what's best for Africans, that we can think without them telling us what to do. So this is like the mental assault that happens to us whenever you're creating the neo-colonial subject, and in this case, the puppet soldier. So this really, I think, drives home why we have to take serious as revolutionaries the agenda of reforming the African mind towards a love for Africa, an appreciation of ourselves, a belief that we have the power and capacity to think for ourselves and not be reliant on someone else, and also that we can fight for liberation without having to bow to the wills of people who don't have our best interest in mind.
All right, so we are getting to time. So let me just read this and then we will close there as well. So it means that the rank and file soldier or policeman can be used to bring about and to maintain reactionary regime. In this case, the ordinary soldier, who is after all only a worker or peasant in uniform, is acting against the interests of his own class. We just explained that. The solution to the problem lies in the politicizing of army and police. Both must be firmly on the control of the society of the Socialist Revolutionary Party, and commission entrusted only to those who are fully committed to revolutionary socialist principle. I think we can end with this exactly right here. Or you want me to refollow a little bit?
Nah, go ahead and close out. I think
all right.
And don't forget to announce.
Okay, all right. So this right here, it just explained to us right here. Now, Nkrumah is telling us here, as a policeman for your people, as an African police, let me put it this way, as an African police, as an African army, under no circumstances, look at your struggle and compare it to the people struggle, to the masses struggle, and work with the masses. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you obeying the commander-in-chief of the army. The people you need to obey is the people that look like you and your children, that when you go home, they will look like you, and they will look like the other children on the street playing as well. Those are the people you need to advocate for, you need to stand for, you need to fight for, and not foreign interests, and not the commander-in-chief who is in the pocket of foreign interests. That is what Nkrumah is saying here.
I have nothing to add. I think you wonderfully summed up our section for today.
All right. So to give a quick announcement, today's August 21st, 2021, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be back with another topic of discussion, the effect of globalism and the influence of neocolonialism on the African continent and the African people in general around the world. And we will need you all to join us there. So it's going to be interactive. We also want to hear from you. So this time around, we are not the one to just be talking. So we're going to read a question, and then we want you to come and participate, because this is a collective effort, a revolutionary effort. Revolutionary means collectivism, collective, come together, organize. That is what a revolution is for. People coming together to fight for a cause. So now we want you all to come as we all get together to discuss the solution affecting African people globally. All right. So 8 o'clock today, Eastern time, 8 p.m. We will need you. And you're going to be on Clubhouse. So if you don't have it, download it and meet us. It's going to be fire.
Link is in the chat. Wonderful job.
All right, so you got it to the add up, and then if not, then we will call you for a date, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.